called upon.
All right, so there's one thing that's really important to a lot of customers when we're doing things like this, and that's the efficiency of their heating and air system. And when it comes to efficiency in your furnace, that's called your AFUE rating. That stands for Annual Fuel Utilization Efficiency Rating. And that runs anywhere from 80% efficient to 98% efficient. Okay. Now, obviously, there's going to be a price difference between an 80% efficient unit and a 98% efficient unit. So what 80% efficient means is basically for every $100 you spend, $80 heats the home, $20 goes right up the exhaust, and you just lose that $20, okay? In contrast, 98% efficient, basically you only lose $2 out of every 100 in that transaction, okay? Now, this one's gonna be less expensive up front, but your monthly payments on your gas are gonna be a little bit more, and this is gonna be the opposite. It'll be more expensive up front, but you pay less on your bills down the road. Now you have options also in the middle. Truth is, I never really recommend a 98% efficient furnace to most people. And the reason being is they're super expensive. You'll spend $12,000, $15,000 just putting this furnace in your home. And the reality is that for about half the cost, you can do a 96% efficient unit, and there's a difference of 2% efficiency is all. And the truth is, you never really recoup your cost savings in the difference there. Does that make sense? So generally I recommend 96, but I'll show you some different options. Now, on your air conditioning, your efficiency is known as your SEER rating, or your seasonal energy efficiency rating. That ranges anywhere from 8 SEER to 21 plus SEER. Now, if you lived in Phoenix, Arizona, we'd be talking about 21 plus SEER, because literally they use that every single day, all day long, all night long. Those things never shut off, right? And here in Utah, we don't use it that much. So in Phoenix, Arizona, you'd want to have that as efficient as you possibly can. But you run into that same scenario, very expensive unit. Again, you're going to spend $12,000 putting that in your home. For about half the cost, you can do what we recommend here is 13 to 17 SEER. Okay. Now, again, this is going to be a lot more efficient to run than an 8 SEER. It's going to cost you a lot less money to run. It'll cost you a little more to run than this, but you're paying about half the cost to install it. Again, you'll never recover your cost difference between those, okay? Now, another consideration is your gas stages, okay? Now, this is on your furnace. And what I mean by that is we have equipment that just runs single stage, like your furnace does. And so, for example, on your furnace, what you have right now, let's say you want to heat your home up to 72 degrees, you have a 100,000 BTU furnace, okay? And what happens is when your furnace kicks on, it kicks on to a full 100,000 BTUs of energy, and then when it hits 72 degrees, it shuts off, okay? When that temperature dips a little bit, goes down a couple of degrees, that furnace is going to kick on again to full power and shut off. So literally, that's all your furnace can do. It's kind of like a teenager driving a car. It's the gas or the brake. There's nothing in between. It's all or nothing. And that's what we call a single stage furnace. Okay? Now, if we go with a 2-stage gas furnace, first of all, what we want to do, we've gone through and we've done your load calculation. We figured out exactly what size of furnace you need in the home. You actually are pretty oversized. You don't need a 100,000 BTU furnace. All you really need is a 60,000 BTU furnace to heat your home efficiently. So that's going to save you some money in and of itself. But on a 2-stage unit, not only does it have a 60,000 BTU setting, it also has one that runs, give or take, 36,000 BTU. Okay? Now the idea is that it only is going to kick onto the 60,000 BTU setting when it needs to. If somebody leaves the door open or a window open, or you turn it on for the first time of the day and it's got to heat up 5-10 degrees, it's going to kick on to full power. It's going to heat up the home very quickly. Okay? But most of the time, just to maintain temperature, what it's going to do is going to sit there and cycle at this lower setting, at the 36,000 BTU setting. Okay? Now you look at that, that's almost a third of the gas that your current furnace is using to maintain heat. See how that can save you a little bit of money on your energy bills? Make a difference, right? So I love the 2-stage option. Now, your blower motor has some similar options, okay? You can do a single stage blower, which is basically, it's either blowing or it's not blowing. a two-stage blower motor, which has a high and a low, or we can do what's called an ECM variable speed motor, okay? Now, ECM variable speed motor, this is my favorite, because instead of just having a high and low setting, what it does is it just varies how hard it's blowing, how strong it's blowing, depending on the needs of the home, okay? So it has a sensor that determines how strongly does it need to blow. So, for example, when the gas is burning, it's gonna blow a little bit stronger. If your air conditioner outside, your condenser unit's running, it's gonna blow a little bit stronger. In between cycles, it's just gonna blow gently, drifting air through the house, okay? Designed to run all the time. Now, why would you want your motor to run all the time? Crazy question, right? It's actually easier on your motor if your motor runs all the time, okay? The thing that wears your motor, all the brushes, the bushings, the bearings in the motor, is all the start and stopping, start and stop cycles. And so when it's just gently adjusting the speed, it's very easy on the motor. Now the other thing is ECM variable speed motor is actually a DC based motor, not an AC based motor, so it uses a lot less energy. And so the reality is even though it's running all the time, it uses a lot less energy than the motor in your furnace right now, for example. So it'll save you some money on energy. Another benefit of the ECM variable speed motor, you talked about how you've got these hot and cold spots in your home, right? You got this room's hotter than this one's colder than this one. ECM variable speed helps to balance temperatures because you're constantly moving air, you're constantly pulling in through all your return vents, you're constantly pushing air out of all your supply vents. It will tend to help balance those temperatures and bring those rooms closer together in temperature, okay? Now another side benefit, and my wife loves this, is that if you put a good filter in your system, that is constantly cleaning air in your home. Okay, the home that I was in before, we moved about 3 years ago, and in the home that I was in before, I hated it because the bedrooms were upstairs, and basically we'd get it comfortable on the main floor in the kitchen and living room, and go upstairs to go to bed, it was 10 or 12 degrees hotter upstairs. I can't sleep when I'm hot, I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time sleeping when I'm hot, so it was miserable for me, I hated that. For my wife, what she hated, we always had dust everywhere. She was always dusting and complaining about the dust. So in this new home that we moved to, we put in this system. This is what I did. I did a 96%, I did a 16 seer, which is right in the middle, two-stage ECM variable speed. I put a good filter on it. Literally, I have the same scenario. The bedrooms are upstairs, but I go up to go to bed, and it's within 1 or 2 degrees of what the downstairs is all the time. You don't have that big temperature variance. My wife loves it because she never has to dust. I mean, literally, we've lived there 3 years now. I think I've seen her dust twice. So it really does reduce the dust. And so it really does make a difference if you use the ECM variable speed and just let it run all the time. Do you think that's something that could help you in your home? You think that would solve some of the issues you're seeing here? All right, perfect. Good, right?
That's it, man.